Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be the first live action video I've ever recorded and put on my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be looking at some trees native to Florida. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a tree expert, but I know a couple things and I've done my research about the local trees. So let's get right into it. Now I love trees and I thought it'd be great to educate the public about trees and what they do. Alright, that tree right there is called an oak tree. It's called an oak tree because the bark, it looks like oak, and it's known for its leaves. Oak trees are actually really strong, and they can withstand about a kilometer of wind, and it's a good tree. Alright, this is a pine tree right here. This one's called a bush pine tree because it's got a big bush around it, and if we go closer, you can see the needles and stuff. Like, yeah, you got the needles, and this is a bush pine tree because it's big and bushy. Alright, I forgot to mention that the pine trees were named by Henry Pine. Pine was actually his middle name. His last name was Voldemort. And Henry Pine was the first person to discover a pine tree. Alright, these back here are called tall pine trees. You can tell they're tall because you got the telephone wire up there, and they're skinny. We might be able to go see some pine needles. These are gonna be a lot thinner and longer. I don't know if you can see them. Alright, so right here we got a little tree. That's what the tree's called. It's called a little tree. You can tell it's a little tree because it's really little, and it doesn't have very many leaves on it as one of the trees that we saw earlier, like that big oak. And you see how skinny the bark is? That's how you know it's a little tree. I thought it was important to note that groups of trees are called forests, like the one you're looking at right now. And forests are home to lots of creatures. I see a couple wasps in there and a butterfly. But then you see one big pine tree. That's a tall and a bush pine. That's called the tall bush pine. And the forest is home to lots and lots of animals. And I actually found a cat in here one time. And I thought that's really cool and important to know for my tree video. I actually found something really cool about this tree. You see it's obviously cut right there, and it's growing out right here and up there, some more parts up there. That's a cool ability that trees can do. Like they can grow back part of their limbs from where it's been cut. These are palm trees. They're actually the Florida state tree. They have these big leaves and they're really tall to swat birds out of the sky so they can eat. And these down here are called sago palms. Fun fact about these, they have really sharp little pines, little needles, and they hurt when you try to trim them. This tree right here is called a big leaf tree. You got these huge leaves, and that really gathers all the sunlight and concentrates it on the leaves so they can eat. They weren't very creative naming these trees. They just kind of took their traits and turned it into a name. It's kind of dumb in my opinion, but I mean it's actually a pretty cool tree. It's really tall. You can't really see how tall it is because this oak tree is blocking it, but it's a really cool tree. Over here we have a different palm tree. See how these are a lot longer, and then it's got some ferns inside, and it's got it's stripped down here of the bark. And those actually used to be leaves like that, but they were cut down. This is a lot shorter than the other palm. I don't actually know what palm tree this is. We can name it small palm tree, not to be confused with the palm tree or the small tree. Well, why don't we call it Little Palm Tree? I think that'd be most fitting because it's a lot smaller than the palm tree. It's also not to be confused with the sago palm either. This is a cool tree. And here you can really see the potential of all the ferns. See, that was the one we looked at earlier. It doesn't have very many ferns, but this one's got a lot of ferns, a lot of potential for life. I know I've found lizards in there and stuff, so lots of life going in there. Kind of like a mini forest, just on a tree. And right here, our next tree is called the flower tree. You can see the flowers right here. Very pretty flowers, kind of a violet magenta color. And we got 3 of them in here. Our neighbors is doing a lot better. It's over the fence, I'll show you that. Yeah, you got that one over there. That one's a beauty. That one's doing really well. Sorry for the AC unit. It's hot in Florida. Now this is the magnum opus of trees. We call it the big tree. I don't know what scientists call it. I didn't research this tree. It's just in my backyard, and it's a really cool tree. I like to go climbing on it sometimes. Sometimes there are some birds in there, some snakes on the floor. It's a really cool tree. We're gonna go climb it. This is inside the tree. See all the different branches and everything. A really cool tree to climb. Lots of great potential for in here. That branch looks really good to climb on. That branch up there, really good for climbing. As you can see now, we are in the tree. There's my shoe. Very fun tree. There's my hammock. Very fun tree to climb on. Lots of potential for cool tree stuff. Alright guys, hope you liked my tree video. That's the tree I was just in. Got a little scraped up from getting down. It was kind of tough. But if you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really help me out. Maybe you can see the trees. Hope you learned something. Save the trees, and we'll see you next time.